Hello guys, Prob here. What up? So it's really late in the season. It's like yeah, 4 days left, and I am like top 2K, not really high up or anything. So I didn't really want to make a video, but some people asked for a ladder video. They say it's been a while since you uploaded a ladder video. I was like, you know what? Why not? So today I'm gonna show you some games that I've had. Ooh, somebody just followed me on Twitter. Thank you, Shadow. I'm gonna show you some games that I've had leading me to this place right here. So, in case you guys don't know, one of the reasons that I'm receiving a lot of follows on Twitter lately is because I uploaded this thing right here, the map of the meta, which shows the 50 most popular decks in the game at the moment. So every time that I face one of those games, I am gonna go back here to the map of the meta and show their archetype. Maybe talk a little about the matchup with Mortar Bait. But until then, let's start this as far down as Supercell is gonna allow me to go. So this is the global tourney, which is ramp up right now. I did play Mortar Bait, but I'm not gonna show any of those because it's not even the regular game mode. It's not even ladder. Why would they do that? These are some friendly games with my IRL friends, and I think we start with ladder right here against Verzid. Verzid is running MK Ramp Spam with Archer Queen. Very, very classic deck. If it were in the map of the meta, it would probably be in the Bridge Spam category, but it's not in the map of the meta. Mostly because Mega Knight and Archer Queen both got nerfed lately. But this used to be a really good deck, and it's not that bad either now. It's just that people tend to stop using a deck when their cards are nerfed, even though the deck might still be viable. So, regular start. I don't know why I started with a Excalibur in the back. I almost never do that. I guess I felt like it. But as soon as I realized what kind of deck it was, I immediately went for a Mortar, and we did get a little bit of a connection early on, which was really nice and allowed me to play comfortably from defense for the rest of the game. Here I just went for a Fireball Log, gives me some extra damage on the tower and also fully defends even if he activates the ability. So I'm not too far down on Elixir, despite being so far high up on damage lead. And I think here I go for a Mortar. I made a mistake here actually, which is that I played the Mortar far away. In the case of the Ram Rider, sometimes you really want to just play your Mortars close to the Ram Rider so that it doesn't charge, so that it touches the Mortar before it charges. But yeah, other than that, some more damage, pretty good. Here I try to defend while attacking with a Skelly Barrel. The timing is really tight on some of these Skelly Barrel Inferno Dragons kites. Because the Inferno Dragon, if he gets too close to the tower, once the Skelly Barrel goes, then it just retargets onto the tower, and that's really annoying. So this guy leaked a little bit. I'm just like trying to get some cheap damage whenever I can because of the way this matchup works. The way this matchup works is I can't really build a big push, so I just need to slowly chip him down. Skelly Barrel is a really good answer to to defend the queen. By the way, I also went for a log there, but it looks like the defense is super good. So as you guys can see, whenever I can cycle a log or anything, I just get some damage. Because like the reason you can't really build a big push and try to break through in this matchup is because if they defend it, which 9 out of 10 times they will, unless you're like, completely overwhelming them, then they have like a huge counter push and you can't defend that anymore and you just immediately lose. But if you manage to just like slowly chip them down, you'll be fine. If you can't slowly chip them down, then there is one way to overwhelm them, and that is to play opposite lane. And that sometimes against the not the best players will make it so they are not gonna poison you if you try to stack your musketeers. So if you do manage to stack a bunch of musketeers on the opposite lane, you can actually break through and overwhelm them. But you gotta be smart with your lane choices. You gotta switch your lanes back and forth to catch them off guard, for sure. But yeah, by this point, I pretty much already won. I'm gonna fast forward here. I'm just gonna try to like slowly chip him down with like spells whenever I can, while trying to not get overwhelmed. But I'm not like trying to build any push whatsoever. I'm just like I had such a big damage lead that I literally just tried to spell cycle there. So that was a game against MK Ramspam with Archer Queen. A real fun matchup. It's not the MK Ramspam Archer Queen deck. That one does have lightning and stuff, but this is like the original MK Ramspam, just with Archer Queen swapped in, I guess. And my game is doing one of these things where it just doesn't load. Does your game ever do that? My game often just gets stuck at 93%. Well, whatever. The next game is against. Oh. This game is against Miguel here, which is using actually a deck that is in the map of the meta. And that deck is Mortar Archer Queen. So this season, for the first time in forever, Mortar is actually in the top 30 decks in the game, or top 50 in this case, I guess. And this is the most popular deck in the game right now with Mortar, which is Mortar Archer Queen. I really, really hate it. It doesn't it doesn't really show what I stand for in Mortar gameplay, I guess. This is like a minor control deck more than a Mortar deck in my opinion, but it's also a really bad matchup, so let me show you how I won it. Usually Mortar Bait doesn't really have super good matchups against Mortar Miner decks, simply because they have like that extra damage that they can get on you, like with the Miner chip damage, and they can often just like Miner Fireball or Miner Poison your tower, and there's not much you can do unless you get an early lead in damage against them. So usually what I'll do against these decks is I will switch lanes whenever I realize what deck they're running. So like they do get a little bit of a damage lead on one lane, and then you switch it up on them, and since they want to play same lane as you, they're gonna have to restart all the way back from zero damage pretty much, or zero damage advantage. Here the Mortar does get distracted by the Archer Queen, but I also noticed that he places Mortar in a position that I can bypass with my barrel. Basically, if they play their mortars in the spots where like you would usually counter a Hog Rider or something, then you can actually bypass it with your Skelly Barrel by playing it behind the lever, I guess, in this case. Usually it's called the behind the chain position. Oh yeah, here I really make a big mistake with the Spear Gobs. If you play them early enough and you play them opposite sides so that the one Spear Gob is on the Fire Spirit side, you can actually get a little counter push of two Spear Gobs on the opponent's side while also perfectly defending the Fire Spirit. Against this matchup, I also really like to just fireball the tower whenever I can get value, because usually it does get down to really small differences in HP when you get to the tiebreaker. So any small damage you can get can save your life. Like here, I could have pre-logged for the Skellies, and I didn't, and that was a big mistake, because if I did pre-log there, I would have gotten quite a bit of damage, quite a bit of extra damage. But pre-logs can be a little risky sometimes. It's just that in that case, it was pretty obvious he was gonna play Skellies. He didn't really have any other option, and that's why you wanna actually know about your opponent's cycle. You wanna know about what they have in their hand. There I got a little unlucky with the mortar. I think that would have hit it. Maybe not, actually. But whatever. I just defend here with a musketeer. And yeah, I got really unlucky here as well, because he did play the queen. But as you can see, I didn't panic. Just place a defensive mortar. And after a log here, everything is fine. Gonna go with some spear gobs. Mortar does also kill the fire spirit. But even if it didn't, the spear gob would have gotten it. Here I go for a knight to distract the mortar, and then I think I just fireball it, because as I said, you always want to get as much damage as you can. In fact, here I'm not even sure if the defensive mortar was the right play, because that does give him fireball value. I feel like I should have probably just logged the queen plus mortar and like gotten that extra damage on the tower. But I do have the damage lead. It's just because I've been cycling spells way more, like way longer than he has, and that slowly gives you a damage lead. But Yeah, he's starting to minor fireball my tower, and that is when they start to do that, you really, really want to be careful because they can like get back on their lead immediately. Here, my mortar almost gets a lock on his tower. It was really unlucky because the mortar can't retarget until its shot hits down. So, if the timing wasn't that unlucky with the mortar there, I would have. Oh yeah, I have no idea what happened there. But yeah, if the timing wasn't that unlucky, then the mortar would have connected on his tower. But I don't know if he lagged there or what, but he didn't play his log. It doesn't really matter though. We would have won that anyway. And yeah, that is a pretty bad matchup. Just generally speaking, if you're playing Mortar Bait, so like if you're playing anything that is in this category in the map of the meta, you really, really don't have that good of a matchup. Mortar Bait is not that good against other Mortar decks, against most of them at least. So yeah, let's go for the next one. Next game is against Rogues Recluse. Oh no, wait, this is a friendly battle with one of my friends. So we're gonna go on the next one, which is Giant Graveyard. It's pretty much the original Giant Graveyard, just with Dark Prince instead of Mini P.E.K.K.A. I've seen a bunch of people run it, and it's honestly not that bad of a matchup. It's just like really weird to play because it doesn't play like many other matchup. There's like giant double prints and stuff like that where you just want to be really aggressive. You want to like clog up the lane with your troops so you have as much DPS as possible at any moment. And here I actually made such a weird defense. Like I'm not even sure how it worked. But if you do play your Goblin Gang at the last second, since the goblins don't spawn all at the same time. I don't know how many people know this, but the goblins in the goblin gang spawn scattered. They don't all spawn at the same time. And here I could have logged actually, so that my musketeer would have survived and gotten more hits. But at this point, I didn't really know what he was using yet. So if he had like a Mega Knight deck, that would have been kind of a waste. And as a result, he gets a really nice counter push, and I get a lot of damage on my tower. Dealt on my tower. But it's fine. Even though we are like almost 1000 damage back, now I know what deck he's running, and I know that I can definitely come back against this. It's really not that bad of a matchup once you figure out how to use it, how to play against it, I guess. Like here I could have gone for a prelog, but once again I didn't know exactly what deck he was running because I saw the Dark Prince and that means like I don't know which giant graveyard it is, I guess. If I saw the mini pack I would have known 100% what this was. But since he was using a variant I wasn't really sure. Here I go for a mortar and then I fireball the musketeer. That is a really easy way to get, yeah, and I even get lucky with the with the bats there. But that is like a really easy way to get a connection on their tower. Here he was actually really smart with us noble and retargeted the dark prince on my mortar. But yeah, like if you guys have seen my gameplay before, you know that I almost never go for naked mortars like that. But against these matchups, like especially in single, but against matchups like this, you don't want to be the one defending pretty much. You want to always have either a push rolling down the lane, or like or just straight up be pushing at the bridge before they do anything. So this mortar should actually clip the tower. There is some extra damage, which is always welcome. I put the knight in front to protect my musketeer against this musketeer, and actually that musketeer is in range for a fireball, so I'll definitely take that value. Here I go for another musketeer. Oh wow. Okay, that was not, yeah. That was a really weird defense there for a giant that was pretty much dead, and that does allow him to get a nice push on the other side. But honestly, like even though this was like a really weird defense, like I think yeah, I even fireball that. That was really stupid, but I had enough of a lead that it doesn't really matter. The game is almost over. And yeah, you can see the new miner emote there. I did buy that. It's like 1000 gems. But I couldn't resist. I want all the emotes. Talking about emotes, bro, why Supercell? Why can't I get the two emotes that I'm missing? Supercell will do this really like stupid thing where if you are missing only two, yeah, I don't know why the game does this after every single game. I guess I have to close it and reopen. But yeah, Supercell does this really stupid thing where if you don't have three emotes left, then they just won't appear in your shop. So if you have like one or two, then you just won't get emotes in your shop. And you can never get them. It's so annoying. I have like those two emotes that I just can never get. The Golden Hog, which the guy just used in that last game, and the E-Giant. So annoying. I will never be able to get them until Supercell just puts another new emote in the shop, which they never do. Alright, next game is against Salaries here. He is running Expo 3.0, but with Rocket, I guess, instead of Fireball. And yeah, by the way, if Giant Graveyard with Dark Prince was in the meta, it would have appeared here, the Giant category. And this, of course, is part of the Expo category. It's just a variant of this Expo 3.0 Ice Spirit deck. But let's see. Let's see what that matchup is like. I personally think Expo 3.0 is not a bad matchup. I think it's like 50-50. Like really, really close to like a true 50-50. Because it's just about which player breaks through sooner, I guess. Because whoever breaks through sooner is the guy that eventually does get the win. Like a small difference in HP is all you need, really. But against this variant, since he does have Rocket instead of Fireball, I think he actually does have a matchup advantage. Because even though he can't defend my pushes as well without a Fireball, he can spell cycle me, which is what really matters in this matchup, is who can spell cycle their opponent. So I go for a very weird defense here. The guy is just laughing his ass off. But as you can see, like what I usually will do against these Expo decks is just get as much damage as possible on their tower. So I definitely profit from the fact that he just played that Expo by getting some Fireball and Log damage on his tower. I already do have some extra damage on the other tower because he was pushing, so he couldn't really defend my Spear Gobs, I think. But yeah, by now I didn't really know that he had the Rocket instead of Fireball, so I couldn't really do like I couldn't really know why it was defensive expoing. Like usually the expo players will not defensive expo unless they have a damage lead. And here I made a mistake. I went for my musketeer way too late, and that meant that uh, the Tesla did end up targeting it. But what you want to do in this matchup, especially the rocket variant, is you want to apply pressure. You want to apply a lot of pressure so they can't rocket cycle you, and at the same time you can like try to break through. If they're good players, you will not break through, but the more elixir they spend on defense is the less elixir they can spend on rockets on your tower. And you're gonna see like this gets pretty close because after like double or triple, which you're definitely gonna get to, by the way, if you're against a good siege player while playing Mortar Bait, you will always get to the tiebreaker. But yeah, in double or triple, it's literally impossible for either me or him to defend, so it always turns into spell cycling by the end of the game. And that means that you have to get a damage lead before that happens with Mortar Bait. Uh, because with the Fireball version, you can kinda hold up damage wise. Because like they do have a faster cycle than you, so they can actually spell cycle you faster than you can them. But as you can see, I do get a mortar connection there, and here I'm just trying to profit off of it. That is already two mortar shots on the tower, and it's not a big enough lead actually against like a regular Expo 3.0. It is definitely a big enough lead that I can just fall back on defense, spell cycle him. But since this guy is running the rocket version, I can't chill quite yet. I have to always be on the offensive, always try to get some more damage. And he knows this, he tries to go for those defensive Expos. I try to log those actually, yeah. But that is not enough for my mortar to break through, I don't think so. Yeah, and this guy is just cycling rockets, as he's supposed to do. But I think I made a mistake here by, well, not only by placing the mortar higher up than it needed to be, but also uh, by not starting the fireball cycle. I should actually, I don't know. maybe not Fireball Cycle, because that would make breaking through a lot harder. But if I get stuck on breaking through and he just defends perfectly the whole time, then he's gonna get back to me. So what I have to do is to just like, for example, pre-log those calories. A pre-log on those calories would have been perfect because even if he didn't play them, that is extra damage on the tower. I have to do what I did with the MK Ramp Spam game, which is I have to slowly spell cycle him with logs, with fireballs, just literally get anything down, and that's gonna help me break through eventually. But as you can see here, I have like a really big counter push. I have two musketeers in the field which DPS down the knight immediately. The musketeers survive. I fireball the archers, and that does uh, make it so he can't really rocket me because he's gotta keep defending until the very end of this game. And yeah, now I got to the point where like uh, even if I don't get any extra damage, I already have enough that he can't really rocket cycle me. As you can see, like you need a really big damage lead in order for them to not be able to rocket cycle you. It wasn't as close as I remembered, but like look at that though. It's a 300 damage difference despite how big of a lead I had. That should really tell you. Yeah, it's 250 damage. That is like one fireball away from actually beating me. So that should really tell you how bad of a matchup this is. The fact that I needed that big of a damage lead to not die at the end. These guys can like literally just like rocket cycle you. And yeah, I don't know why my game does this. My game will just do this where it stops on 93%. I don't know why it does that. Whatever. I guess. I wish I could fix that. But yeah, next game here is against Pekka Bridge Spam, the second most popular deck in the game. I was against Chatter, which is a friend of mine, so he did want to titrate, but if you guys ever see me on ladder, remember this. I never titrate. I think titrating is stupid, and yeah, I don't do it for good matchups, I don't do it for bad matchups. This is just the classic Pekka Bridge Spam with Fireball instead of Poison, and we're gonna see how the game against Chatter went. Spoiler alert, really good matchup, went really well. I think I might even just like go real fast over it, like maybe just uh, 4 times or something. But yo, what is going on with my game today, man? Everything is taking so long to load, I'm lagging, like, ugh. If you're wondering why I'm never on top ladder, is because of this stuff. It is literally because of this stuff. Hello? No? Okay. Yes, let's look at the other ones. This is a graveyard queen deck with cart baby dragon. This Lumberloon freeze, which does actually appear in my meta map. It is one of the most popular decks in the game. This is like a super weird variant of Rog's Queen Quake because it has Musketeer instead of Queen. I guess this guy just didn't have the Queen unlocked, but really bad matchup. That's why I lost it. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look who decided to load after 10 hours. But yeah, he was saying good game because he wanted to titrate, but I told him good luck. Usually that explains them that I'm not gonna titrate. Oh, what the? Excuse me? Hello? What was that? Did a new game just load while I was in the other game? All right. I guess I'm just gonna go double instead of 4 times, but it's really easy to play against P.E.K.K.A. Bridgepan. You just have to not choke in single, because if you're against a good P.E.K.K.A. Bridgepan player, they can overwhelm you in single. So don't overcommit. Don't spend more elixir than is strict necessary. Yeah, like I went for a Goblin Gang there, and if you were like really good, it would have like spammed me. That would have been like a little hard to defend, but yeah. You're many times against good P.E.K.K.A. Brisbane players. You're gonna have to defend like a ghost with spear gobs, which is possible, by the way. You can fully defend a ghost with just spear gobs by making them split and kiting it opposite lane. You're gonna have to do stuff like this, where you go for a goblin gang on one side and a knight on the other in order to separate the pack and the ghost. That is just par for the course against P.E.K.K.A. Brisbane. And yeah, I'm always trying to like get a little bit of chip damage, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to play this super safe, If you want to play this super safe, you can just get the damage lead and then just wait for the tiebreaker. Just turtle up on defense. Not even the best Pekka Bridgeman player is gonna be able to break through if you alternate your offense and your defense well enough. And another thing you guys might want to know when you're playing this matchup is that a mortar shot plus a log does in fact kill a magic archer. And many times, if you want to get a mortar connection, like a really sneaky mortar connection, like that one that I just got there, you wanna actually pre-log the magic archer so that as soon as the mortar shot hits him, the mortar connects to the tower. They never expect it. They never expected to pre-log their Magic Archer. But yeah, really easy matchup. Went really quickly over it. If you guys want to learn that matchup better, I have like 1,000 videos on Mortar Bait against Pekka Bridge Spam. And I do have to close and reopen the game every time because, yeah, I guess the game hates me. But yeah, that is the matchup against Pekka Bridge Spam. Really good matchup against both of these variants. Not a super good matchup against the Ram Spam variant with Lightning. And yeah, I also have a really good matchup against the 3M Bridge Spam deck variants. So Mortar Bait, really good against Bridge Spam, turns out, because you can just turtle up on defense. But I guess any siege deck is good against Bridge Spam, honestly. So next game here is Queen with Graveyard. It's like a really weird deck. Oh no no no, not this again. Okay, I'm just gonna turn out uh, the Wi-Fi so that I can just show you this without having to wait 10,000 times every time, I guess. Like 10,000 hours every time. Whew, I don't know why my Wi-Fi is so bad. That is the reason I'm not on top ladder, guys. Gotta go for that mobile data if I wanna speed things up along. Or not even, actually. Damn, bro, why does it take so long to load that stuff? Oh well, so graveyard decks can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but if you play well, you can win anything with Mortar Bay. Yes, even Rogue's Queen Quake, even though you do need your opponent to make some mistakes, but I have a video about like where I'm just ranting about Rogue's Queen Quake. Such a stupid deck. Luckily they did nerf the Earthquake. They haven't nerfed the Queen enough though, in my opinion. They have to nerf the Queen's HP. They nerfed literally everything except the HP. Which, yeah, in order for Queen to be balanced, you definitely need for the Queen to be able to die to Fireball Log. But I digress. What you're seeing here is I fireballed the cannon card and then I logged it, which does get us some good damage, which is really important against these kind of decks because these kind of decks can just turtle up on defense. You cannot break through for 5 minutes in a row, and that is a pain in the ass. But here I made a mistake. I should have actually played Log rather than Goblin Gang there, because that would have given me an early Mortar Lock, and yeah, it doesn't really matter. We do still get a Mortar Lock. I'm gonna get like another shot after this, I think. Oh no, because it plays the cannon card. So here I actually panicked. I didn't have anything for the cannon card and I really didn't want it to get to my tower, so I just played a Mortar on it, which was really stupid, but I mean, I guess it worked. You don't want to get caught without a knight when you're going against cannon card. Like you could defend the cannon card with a Goblin Gang. Like Knight and Goblin Gang are the only things that can defend a cannon card. I guess you can fireball it, fireball log. But the point is, if you don't have a Knight, then they can bar barrel, like pre-bar barrel your Goblin Gang, and that just kills you immediately. Here I went for a Goblin Gang at the bridge actually because I thought it was gonna try to activate with Nado, and when they do that, you can like catch them off guard by playing something at the bridge at the same time, but he didn't. He didn't try to activate. He just went for the bar barrel, and that gave him like a super good counter push here. I was also really late with that log, and as a result, I lost my damage lead that I worked so hard to get. So that was really annoying. But I think this is still fine. I went for a mortar there, and I think. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to predict there. I was probably trying to predict the queen, but I just didn't really know what he had in his hand, I guess. That was like a bad prediction for sure. Yeah, queen goes here, but I think I just fireball it and I miss the tombstone. So definitely lots of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in this game, but we still emerged victorious here. So we're gonna see how we ended up doing that. We get a really good defense here with the spear gobs against the graveyard. If they don't poison your tower, spear gobs are actually such a good defense. Yeah, and a single log can actually be enough to fully defend a bar barrel. That's pretty obvious, but it's not obvious that you should do that. Sometimes you really should just log a bar barrel just to prevent the that one or two barb hits. Sometimes it's really worth it when it's like a game of small differences in damage, like a really close game. So I think here I actually farbled that because I want to get my mortar to connect on the tower, but I farbled it too early, and that makes it so the queen doesn't die immediately. If I farbled that like slightly later, it would have actually given me an extra mortar here on his tower. And here as well, I could have played my knight on defense, like defending the mortar rather than defending the graveyard. I would have received more damage, but I would have gotten like 3 or 4 more mortar shots. So, well, not 3 or 4, maybe just 3. But the point is, I would have given more damage than I got. Here I went for a musketeer in the back at the worst possible timing, and I thought for sure I was done here. When they go baby dragon graveyard at the bridge, and you don't tell a musketeer, that it can be super super hard to defend. But yeah, this is actually how I broke through, and that is one of the only ways that you can break through in those matchups. You gotta stack 2 musketeers and try to make them survive. So one of the musketeers does die, but the other one is still alive. He goes for an Ado here, which was really stupid because now my musketeer is on his tower. And I think I even get a mortar connection here, but it doesn't matter because the tower is already down. So yeah, the first musketeer that I cycled was like really bad for my defense, but is also what allowed me to stack 2 musketeers after. So sometimes you really gotta stack like you gotta cycle early musketeers if you wanna win that. So yeah, that deck, Queen card, Graveyard, I guess, would have been, of course, in the Graveyard category, and not really similar to anything else here, but definitely like with a poison, just like the other Splasher decks, just like less splash, I guess. But the next one that we're gonna be playing here is Lumberloon, and it's Lumberloon with E-Drag. Yeah, that is the most popular variant. Baby Dragon used to be the most popular Lumberloon variant, but these two Lumberloon decks, Lumberloon Freeze, they're never gonna get out of the meta. They're just super good, super cheesy, I guess. And it's actually not that bad of a matchup for Mortar Bait. It's really not that bad of a matchup at all. And I'm gonna show that to you right now. If you play this perfect, you can actually just like not get any damage on your tower. But the bowler is what's really annoying. So here I wasn't really playing that well. You don't want to cycle a knight in the back. You don't do that. That was bad. That was just me not thinking. That was just me like auto playing. So that knight gives him so much value. It's like a 2 elixir bowler basically for him, and it also clogs up the lane for 10 hours, bro. Like I couldn't play anything on that lane for so long. And I also made a mistake here with the musketeer. Played the musketeer way too early. Doesn't go for the bowler. Yeah, I really don't know how I survived this interaction, but I made lots of mistakes here at the start. Knight does fully counter the bowler though, so that's nice. At least on defense, of course. And yeah, I think here he just freezes, which, not the smartest thing in my opinion, but whatever. I'm not a Lumberloon freeze player. And yeah, I'm just trying to cycle like cheap cards, get some extra damage on him. And I think I go for a Excalibur in the back opposite lane here. That's what I would do if I were playing this right now. Yeah, I think I do that. Yeah. So I did leak a little bit of elixir, which wasn't exactly necessary, but he does like have a huge elixir lead here. So he goes for a full push, but I can get like one of those godly fireballs that really help out. And that is what saves my ass here. I go for a last second mortar, which doesn't get a connection because of that bar barrel. It's unfortunate, but at least we didn't get any damage. Musketeer plus Fireball can like counter so much of this deck, but you gotta be careful if they nado your Musketeer. Like if they have a bowler, they can nado your Musketeer into the tower, and that gives them so much damage, especially if they freeze with it. Or sometimes they actually nado your Musketeer opposite lane, which is why sometimes you want to play your musketeer on the outside of the arena rather than on the inside, so they can't nado your opposite lane. But yeah, I go for a little push here. In this matchup, you always want to be switching lanes. You don't really care about which lane has more damage, because they can just completely clog up an entire lane with a bowler. So you can't just keep playing into their bowlers expecting to break through. That's not gonna happen. You have to always switch lanes. You have to always play in the lane where there is no bowler, because a bowler by itself can just fully make a lane inaccessible to you. Here, I don't know how that bowler actually got a hit on my tower. That was so stupid. But, almost flawless, almost. Here I tried to actually fireball both the Lumberjack and the E-Drag, but I missed. If I didn't miss that, I'm pretty sure I would have already won. But it doesn't really matter. We get to the point where I can just spell cycle him. In fact, if you see here, just fireball. Like, I would have fireballed even if there was no E-Drag. Because like against this deck, when you get to double and triple, well, triple especially, you can just fireball a bowler. Like, it doesn't matter, because you're not gonna break through any other way. So unless you want to win with the tiebreaker, if you choose early on to win with the tiebreaker, I guess don't fireball their bowlers. But I usually do. I usually try to like spell cycle them out. So here there is like a game against Masked Royal Hogs. It's not a good game. It's one of the worst matchups in the game, as I have said multiple times. But I'm not gonna show it. I'm gonna show instead this last game against I'm Rogs, which I played literally before starting this recording. By the way, I don't like to play live games, because I play way worse when I am either recording or live streaming or something. People know that. But yeah, it's a variant of Rogs Recruits here. I'm not sure which one. Oh yeah, it's just the Rogues Recruits triple spell. So this actually does appear on the list. It's the lowest deck here. And by the way, bro, this map of the meta got so popular that on Twitter, that I actually got a comment from Zapkill, the best Rogues Recruits player in the game. He apparently wants to make an arrow meta with Rogues Recruits triple spell. Well, let's see how that's gonna go. Let's watch what this I am Rogues uh, guy is doing with this deck. Personally, as far as Mortar Bait is concerned, this is like a 50-50 matchup. You can defend so well with defensive mortars, but it's also pretty hard to break through, and they can be super annoying with the flying machines. The flying machine is what makes this matchup hard. It's not like a bad matchup, but it's a hard matchup to play for sure. You gotta play really perfect for them to not break through. So early gameplay, early Mortar Bait gameplay with the spear gobs and the skelly barrels at the bridge. That is how most of the Mortar Bait games start. Here I go for a musketeer, hoping that he would actually cage closer, but he doesn't. If he caged closer, this would have already been a mortar connection on the tower. He goes for recruits, which is pretty annoying, but we do get like one more mortar shot, I think. Yeah, because my spear gobs killed the brawler. If that brawler went like 1 HP, the mortar wouldn't have gotten that extra damage. So very early lead. This is one of those matchups where it's super important to get a damage lead. Not necessarily early, but you do want to be in the damage lead. It's really, really hard to come back from a damage deficit against this deck, because if they want to turtle up on defense, oh boy, they can. They can make it so you never, never break through. So you do want to be the one sitting comfortably on defense. Like here I went for a Excalibur, but honestly I should have just gone for a defensive mortar because of the aforementioned damage lead. Is the kind of game where you do want to be the one defending, but you can't be the one defending until you have enough damage on their tower, which I definitely do now. It's just that I feel it's kind of boring to play for 5 minutes in a row defending the whole time, so I try to go for like going eggs at the bridge or something, like just to poke them. Nothing that is nothing that is expensive enough that I couldn't defend if they were to attack me. Like right now, look, I fireball the flying machine. It does still get a hit on my tower, because as I said, the flying machine is super annoying. And the mortar in the middle is also really good at defending Royal Hogs. But you do need some troops on the field. If you just mortar in the middle, the Royal Hogs are going to get quite a bit of damage. So you do need a mortar and some other troops. Like even just spear gobs. Spear gobs are enough. if you play them early enough. But yeah, you can also just log them all together. Like even if they, yeah, knight close to the tower, really good against flying machine. Really good when they flying machine like that. It's super sneaky, like a really hard thing to defend in time. But knight near the tower makes it so the timing is not awkward. You can just play it whenever you want. And yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, when they do split Royal Hogs, which by the way, if you are a Royal Hogs Recruits player, splitting the Royal Hogs is the move. If you play them all in the same lane, then they're very easy to defend. I can just fireball them. But if you split them, I always, or almost always, I guess, have to play a defensive mortar, which I can definitely afford here because of the damage lead that I have. I don't really need to get another mortar connection, and most of these games will finish in tiebreakers. This is the kind of matchup that, unless your opponent or you make a big mistake, is never gonna finish before the tiebreaker, because just both of both of you guys have a very hard time breaking through. So he fireballs this, but I try to tank for the musketeer so that he can kill the flying machine. And the thing that I was trying to say before that I keep interrupting myself over is, if you mortar in the middle to get all the royal hogs together, you can also just log them, and that will hit all four of them, and that will make the defense a lot easier. Unlucky for me, the musketeer does not go for the flying machine, which is really annoying. But I think this gets like a lot closer than it needs to be, because I'm very dumb with my defensive mortars. Like yeah, right now I should have gone for defensive mortar. Before, when I went for defensive mortar, I should have gone for an offensive mortar. So this really proves that as long as you have a damage lead, you can also afford to make mistakes. Doesn't really matter too much. You just have to make sure that you never fall behind your opponent on damage, which actually got really close to happening here. But at this point I realized, hey, it's the last 30 seconds. I can just win by cycling some fireballs on his tower and just turtling up, which is what I should have done in the first place. But whatever. As I said, just get the damage lead, and then you're fine. You can make a bunch of mistakes. Not as many mistakes as you want. At some point you will lose if you keep making mistakes, but as you can see, like I played way less than stellar here after that damage lead, and I still won with ample damage to spare. So yeah, that was the matchup against Rogues Recruits Triple Spell, and that was pretty much the video. I know that this is not top ladder gameplay, but all of this is like in the top 2k, top 3k maybe for the early games. So should still be good enough for most of the people watching my video. If you're one of the people that are like as high as I am on ladder, I'm sorry if this is not super pro content. I'm gonna try to put out another video by the end uh, of the season. No promises though. I'm gonna try to put like a top 1k video for sure. 7,600 or something maybe, hopefully. Well, Proby's out. 43 minutes of gameplay, bro. Y'all can't complain. See you on the next one. Bye bye.